Hi guys, it's Nelegend back with another Smash Up video, and this is going to be a little bit different than my faction videos. In this one, I'm going to really focus on basic tactics and strategy in 1v1, and some of the stuff the computer tends to do wrong here. I'm on the app, which recently the rights have moved from Osmodee to Nomad, so we're hoping that it gets some more content at a better rate and maybe gets to be a little bit of a better program. I have picked an interesting matchup that I'm going to play from both sides over 2 videos against the hard AI in 1v1. And I'm just going to talk about the various things the AI does wrong. Now, the hard AI is very good at multiplayer as AIs go. Let me see. I'm going to give them the Ghost Plant side of this matchup first, and I will take the Ghost Plant side in the second game. So I am taking Wizards and Steampunks against Ghost Plants. Alright, it's asking me to take my second right away, so here's my Steampunks. And this matchup is a pretty reasonably balanced matchup in 1v1, in my opinion, when you don't have the Titans yet. With the Titans, I think the Ghosts have the better side of it. Alright, so the bot starts out by just playing Spirit Go. That's not necessarily wrong. So what do I have? I have the Homeworld. That means that these plays are both free. And the interesting question is, do I want a Mystic Studies to try and get a 3+ power minion to play with my regular play before I play the other stuff? He's got Sprouts, and he's got his 2-power ghost things. Which I think are just called Ghost. Those are his only 2s, and the fact that he hasn't played at Homeworld probably means that he doesn't have a 2 in his opening hand, so he at most has 2 2s. So I'm probably looking at no more than a 9 power drop. It could be like a 12. I mean, he could also have top-decked his plant boss, but I'm willing to lose a base to that. So all in all, I'm going to go with the play of playing Mystic Studies first. Just because it would be great if I got a free minion play out of drawing. Okay, I don't. I want to go for the free action right away. Return to deck. Okay, that gives me an idea of what I'm getting. I kind of need to draw a bunch of cards. That's why I'm going for unloading way earlier than I should. Okay, and now, let's take a look at this. If 8 plus the 8 from this would get me, if I could play it, I can jump to 16. I'm going to end my turn here because I've got enough that he's not going to be blowing me away here. And I would like to be able to do some sort of tactical strike. I would have loved to have gotten an extra action play out of this. All right. So let's talk about what my opponent is doing wrong. This ninja base offers 2 points for first place and 3 for second. And that means that in a 1v1 game, as long as I make sure that I put 2 points here of power here before it breaks, I am going to be getting, 1 point more than him if he breaks it. Now, what he's doing right is he's playing a Sprout there, because if he goes and fetches his Water Lily and starts drawing a card every turn, I would be in the position where I either had to use removal that I don't have as Wizard Steampunks to get rid of the Water Lily, or he can sit his Water Lily there all game drawing a card every turn, or I have to actually break this base, which I really don't want to do. If I was going to try to break the base out from under him, I would want to do it by moving a bunch of his minions there. So the Sprout play here is good. The Spirit play here was really, really dumb, and I think the AI just doesn't take into account the victory points on the base. The AI is very, very minion power focused. All right, so let's take a look at this. I currently have 6, and if I played, where is it? Rotary Slug Thrower, this would be 12. So 19, 23 if I'm counting up with Rotary Slug Thrower. So to make the counting easier for everyone, I'm going to play the Rotary Slug Thrower first. And you can see that I've actually got 12 after spending that action. And what I want to do is I want to cut my opponent out of this space. Any reasonable human opponent would have played their first turn Spirit here to defend against exactly what I'm going to do. 19 power. I play this first because I'm getting free 2 power minions out of it, and so that one actually cost me something. Now, if I get an extra action, is it likely to be... So I'm deciding between Enchantress and Neophyte, and the thing is, Neophyte is in a way half a card draw plus half an extra action that must be used on that card draw if the card draw is an action. And I think if I draw an extra card, it's unlikely that the action is super helpful. I mean, I would really, really like to have a difference engine rolling here. You know what? I'm going to go for this anyway. That is, I'm going to play this here to break the base. He has no specials, so I have nothing weird going. And then I'm going to play the Neophyte on the Ninja Dojo, both to avoid... Okay, change of venue does nothing useful, so I'm placing it in my hand. I'm both avoiding the possibility that he gets a 2-point advantage by taking an 18-0 power thing, and having the potential to drop a difference engine here later. He's also going to be doing the weird business of blowing up my minion. He's still contesting Ninja Dojo. So we have number one thing that the bot does wrong is they don't understand which bases are good in 1v1. And the number two thing that the bot does wrong is they don't defend against bases that have abilities that allow me to try to solo them and take a 4-point advantage instead of 2-point. Those are really the same problem. This bot doesn't seem to have any idea what different bases do. If the bot solos Ninja Dojo, that's really only one base worth of value to take 2-0. It does get the minion kill, but that's not a big deal. So I don't feel like I even have to defend Ninja Dojo right now. Especially since the bot has a very, very minion power favored focus. It went and searched for a spirit instead of going and searching for a water lily. By the way, there's also currently a bug on the way Water Lily and Sprout interact on the app. That is, if you search for Water Lily at the start of your turn, it comes into play. It's still the start of your turn. You should be able to draw a card off it, but currently in the app you can't. That's not a huge issue, but it is an issue. Alright, so Chrono Mage. Both of these bases are good, but I want to do a little bit of developing, drawing cards off difference engine, since right now I don't have a strong hand. So I would rather build to a base that will break a little later than a base that would break sooner. Also, my opponent's deck is a little more explosive than my own, which means that this is a little scarier. I'm actually wondering about... I don't think Zeppelin is super helpful right now. I would kind of rather play Escape Hatch. I feel like the AI has such a hard focus on minion power that it literally might... Oh my god. It actually just spirit killed my Chrono Mage. I'm cool with that. That's fine. You can do that. Alright, so you've got how much power? Alright, I'm just replaying the Chrono Mage. And I'm sticking a Zeppelin here of all places. And, because this base should stay in play a long time, and that allows, that means that the Zeppelin will stick around. And now the question is, do I think he goes straight from 8 to 20 while playing a spirit in order to kill my Chrono Mage? And the answer is no, because in order to kill my Chrono Mage, he needs to use a spirit, and all three of them are in play. That's another mistake that the bot tends to make here. Spirit is the main destruction ability in the Ghost faction, and It's valuable to have at least one spirit unseen by your opponent because that means that you can actually do spirit things such as blowing up minions. Well, that means that you have destruction, and it's also a very good destruction card because it's not restricted to a specific amount of power. All right, I think that was an Instagrow. Let's take a look at the log. Yeah, Water Lily, Instagrow, Water Lily. I don't like this play. There's two problems with it. First off, Water Lily has a powerful start of turn ability that helps ghost plants operate properly, and my opponent really should prefer to have their Water Lily on two different bases so that if a single base break does not prevent them from drawing a card at the start of next turn. The second problem is they dropped exactly 6 power on a 12 breakpoint base, which gives me the easiest possible way to break and win this base in terms of the amount of power I need. I literally just need to drop 7, and granted, I have 19 cards, almost half my deck left in there, and every 2-card play that gets me there right now involves either Aggro Motive or the Rotary Slug Thrower that's already in my discard pile, but I could have a mechanic in my hand by now, and that would make 6 instantly with 1 play by bringing the Rotary Slug Thrower back. On top of that, this thing is in play and it can move, so basically, the computer isn't thinking about defense at all, and it's going to get punished for that. You don't want to put this here where it only takes 7 power to break and win, because 7 power is pretty easy to hit, and I'm going to play exactly that. I don't think I need to do anything else. This thing is defending against a potential power drop here. This thing is letting me draw an extra card at the end of my turn, which will help me draw to the mechanics. And so, right here, I get to both knock out the Water Lily ability and score an extra 2 points. So, the hard AI gets an F for tactics on that base. Alright, what is this? School of Wizardry, that's a 3-2, so it's not a hugely good base. Props to my opponent for recognizing that this is currently the best base on the table. 4-2 is a 2-point difference, this is only a 1-point difference, and this is 1 point to second place. So, first question, if I play Mechanic bringing back, technically, right now, it would, okay, Mechanic bringing back Rotary Slug Thrower. This plus this would be a 3 with that, with the sleeps. That gives me 5 power with 2 minions, plus 4 more from Rotary Slug Thrower, brings me to 9. If I move this with its ability, I would be at 12. Then all I have to do is play Ornate Dome. So the interesting thing about here is that Sleep Spores is kind of not a great card. And Sleep Spores is kind of not a great card because its defensive ability ends up turning Ornate Dome into a power drop for me. That is, the Sleep Spores is preventing my opponent from having an easy time breaking this base on their turn, but it's not going to do that to me as long as I have Ornate Dome in hand. And with 16 cards left in my deck, I'm gonna have Ornate Dome 60% of the time, since there hasn't been a reason for me to play it before. Alright, so Mechanic and discard pile, gimme the Slug Thrower. Since I'm going to move a third minion here, the Slug Thrower adds 6 power to Aggro Motive's 5. But I'm pretty sure Aggro Motive would also be fine. So I'm currently at 9. Move this here. I'm now at 12. And now the kicker. Now I'm at 15. And that thing, besides serving a defensive purpose, because it is specifically a Captain Ahab, getting a spare turn in which to play a Captain Ahab can have an offensive presence later on in the game. Here, once again, the bot gets an F for defense, although I did have to draw a good hand this turn to pull that off. I don't have anything else useful I can do because any movement would lose the base for me, so I just end the turn. Base breaks. The bot is, at this point, completely lost. There's no way it's coming back from an 8-point deficit. And I get an interesting question on what do I want to discard. I'm going to discard Change of Venue immediately because I don't think it's going to be useful this game. And now comes the question, Sacrifice. Do I want to keep or get rid of it? This game, it doesn't matter. I have a commanding lead, but the interesting question is, either am I going to have a hand that's bad enough that playing a 4-power minion and sacrificing it is good? Usually the answer to that is no, but occasionally it happens. Or will I score a victory point off sacrifice? And I kind of think I'm only going to get to see 2 more bases, plus I have 2 ways to get the sacrifice back if I see one of the 2 bases in the base deck that will score me a victory point for destroying a minion. And on top of that, I have 2 cards sitting in my deck that I haven't seen yet in my 13-card deck that will return an action from my discard pile to my hand, so I can get the sacrifice back if I need it. But at the same time, with 13 cards, do I really need a scry? I have Time Loop, which makes scry better, so I'm gonna ditch the sacrifice. The odds of it being great are not high. Mushroom Kingdom. Alright, so the important thing about, okay, and in this case that would have let him play the Spectre, so this was actually a reasonable choice. However, you'll notice I'm still able to move this. That's because Mushroom Kingdom's ability is not considered my ability, it's considered the base's ability. So Deep Roots is doing nothing. The important thing about Mushroom Kingdom is not only is this a 2-point different base, but because each of us have the ability to move our opponent's minions there, it means that usually, if it's in my best interest to have my minions somewhere else other than Mushroom Kingdom, my opponent will move them to Mushroom Kingdom. Vice versa, if it's in my opponent's best interest to have their minions elsewhere, I will move them to Mushroom Kingdom. And because of this, unless you're playing many more than 1 minion per turn, you should usually just play at Mushroom Kingdom to limit the number of choices your opponent has. Okay, so the first question I have is, can I literally make 15 right now? Wait. I only need to make 12. Because if I move the spirit at the start of my turn, he will have 8. So, Mechanic plus 5 from Aggro Motive is 9. Play the summon for this to make 13. Yes, I can win the game right now. Spirit goes to Mushroom Kingdom at start of turn. Mechanic here, 4. In this case, since I'm only going to be using 2 minions, Aggro Motive 5 is better than the 4 from Rotary Slug Thrower. Play Summon. This is 4 because I've got an action on the base. Whoop-de-doo. End turn, win game. That was pretty painless. I have a feeling that while the bot is going to be making the same fundamental mistakes of focusing primarily on minion power rather than thinking about how to get more victory points in a 1v1 game, and also having sort of no idea how my deck works, I think the bot is going to be making the same type of mistakes, but when you see the bot in the next game play Steampunk Wizards, the bot is going to be doing things that make a little more sense. So I'm going to stop this recording here, and in the next game, you're going to see me play the other side of this matchup and talk about what the bot does wrong playing the combo rush deck version, which I think is a little bit more up its alley, but it's still going to be screwing it up because it's a 1v1 game and the bot isn't very good at that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'm going to sign off for today.